Welcome to the Stronger Leader podcast, home of the hashtag Stronger movement, where we explore the fascinating tapestry of human experience. I'm your host, Tony Cardello. Each episode, we'll sit down with a remarkable guest to dive into their unique journeys, from successful business leaders to individuals who have faced the darkest of times and emerged stronger, even from some of the inspiring youth of this emerging generation. We'll also cover essential topics on marriage, leadership, as well as spiritual, physical, and mental health, all in hopes to provide you with the tools and motivation to navigate your own life's challenges. Whether you're here to learn, grow, or simply be inspired, there's something for everyone. So get comfy, settle in, and join us as we embark upon this journey together. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button as well. Turn on the notifications so you'll know whenever we drop new content. All right, let's get started. Welcome to another episode of the Stronger Leader podcast with your host, Tony Cardello. The crowd goes wild. I'm here with my man and sales trainer and leadership trainer extraordinaire, Ian Macklin. What's up, Ian?
What's up, Tony? Looking good today, man.
You guys are out there in sunny Arizona, so you're rocking the fitted T-shirts, and I'm over here in a freaking North Face because it's like 1 degree out here, and trying to do the thing. What's up, man?
Yep, it's 80 degrees and sunny out here, and the rest of the world's in snow, and we don't even know that there's other seasons.
Yeah, I know. Yep. It's all right. That's all right. Well, hey, man, I'm glad you took some time here today, man. I've been, a longtime fan of you guys and Andy and you and everything you guys are doing. I'm a huge supporter of what you guys do, and I think it's awesome. You guys bring the fire for sure, and man, it's cool. I'm just glad to have you on here, and want to get to know you a little bit. I purposely have kind of reserved the time to not get to know you beforehand so that we can, have a good, authentic conversation here. And
sure,
I want to know who you guys are on a real level. So, I know you guys are devout Christians, and obviously that's a big thing of what we do with the Stronger Leader. It's not the only thing we do, but leadership and Christianity and just being good men, man. And you guys represent all that. You're out there in a secular world, helping with business and all that, but you're doing it with a biblically based principles behind you and all that you do, which is awesome, man. And so, big fan. A lot of people, it's kind of like you either love you guys or hate you guys, because of the, and the hater's gonna hate. We know we know that, right? But anyway, man. So let's just start off for my listeners. Just tell everybody who you are, where you're from. Humanize yourself a little bit. Where'd you grow up? And you are the other half of a good-looking set of identical twins, right?
Yep. So I'm the older twin. 7 minutes, but I've always treated it like it was 7 years. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, as we grew up, I when you're twins, like early on, you don't really want to like dress the same, look the same. Like you're fighting for your own identity, right? Yeah. And then when we got into the car business and we started getting older, man, like that became our brand, and we started to realize that was our power. And our grandfather, we didn't have a dad growing up. Our dad, just left or whatever, and you know how that is. And just like as you're talking about the Stronger Leader podcast, we had a strong leader in our grandfather, and he always told us, he said, man, you guys have each other. You guys are going to have nobody else eventually, but you guys are always going to have each other. So you guys always got to take care of each other. So as we grew up in the sales world, we sold on the same floor for, our whole lives. And we are always like competitive, but we always took really good care of each other, and we're really good brothers. We live down the street from each other. Our wives are best friends. He's got 3 kids. I got 3 kids. So we've matched up on kids. I've been catching up with him. But we're just a faith-based company, and in an industry that doesn't like to talk about faith, that doesn't like to talk about fitness. Honestly, from like training thousands of companies, it's not something that you really hear about. It's more sales, numbers, KPIs. But guys like me, I performed at the top of the sales game, just like you for years. For 8.5 years, I was number 1 at Nissan. I killed it. I was able to sell 50, 60, 70 cars every month. My brother also. But I came to a point in my life where I was really good at sales, but I didn't have like real deep leadership. And so I eventually was just one of those guys that was totally lost. I knew how to sell, I knew how to make money, but man, my heart was bankrupt. My soul, I never had experienced faith. I didn't even know what people were talking about. It honestly sounded weird when everybody would tell me. And so I just grew up in this car business, and I grew up just a hungry cat, just wanting to win and wanting to, make my family proud. And I was able to do that, but the thing that saved my life, this business almost took my life too. So it literally almost wrecked my life. And so now we're on a mission to just help leadership understand that they can live a multi-dimensional life. They can have a good spiritual life, a good family life, a good sales life, a good career, and they don't have to just do it one way, which most leaders, if they're ambitious, they understand.
So I definitely want to get into all that, but let's go a little bit further back into your childhood. Where'd you guys grow up at? What part of the country?
Yeah, we grew up in Denver. We grew up in Denver, Colorado, and that's where we sold at. And I've got a big family. I've got 9 brothers and sisters, half brothers and sisters. My dad was like all over the place. He's a truck driver, so he was like, we got families all the way up I-25, starts in Arizona and goes, you know what I'm saying? It's like crazy, And so, but my mom was in the military, and my mom is a good woman. And my mom just retired out of the military. She would never quit her job. She just literally finally decided to retire after 44 years in the government and military. And so my mom's always been a hard-charging, strong woman. She was injured severely in the military, and so she's always been handicapped because of it. And she still always showed up. Like, she was a person that she could have stayed home. I mean, but she always showed up. So people always ask me, how are you so driven? How are you so crazy? How are you so psycho about success and winning and all these things? And I'm like, man, a lot of these things are caught, not taught. And I caught that relentless spirit from my mom. I caught that relentless, that go-getter from watching my mom show up every day when, my dad couldn't show up for a day, right? So it's like, so I caught a lot of that stuff growing up from my mom. But we grew up in Denver, me and my brother, athletes, that just wanted to win, weren't the best in sports. We were great in sports, but not professional athlete type of sports. We run some state championships and stuff, but business became our sport as we got older.
So tell me, what age did Dad burn out? When he became?
Well, man, I haven't seen my dad in 25 years. He was addicted to drugs and alcohol, and so I'm 35 now. And when I was 3 or 4, he was gone. So
You're how old, Ian? 35.
Yeah, I'm 36. I think I'm 36 now. I don't know.
You're getting old.
I think my wife told me I was 36 yesterday. I was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Are you positive?" You know what I mean? I don't know. So yeah, but the coolest thing is my pastor told me the other day. I used to carry. This was like 2 years ago. My pastor, I would always say, my whole life, I kind of hated my dad for that. And my pastor was praying over my team. I asked him to pray over my team a couple times a month. He'll come in here and when I'm talking about praying over my team, it's not like he says a prayer and leaves. It's like he's here for 3 hours praying, right? It's a different kind of prayer, right? Yeah. I mean, he'll pray people into tongues, right? It's like a different type of prayer. And he came up to me on stage. He called me on stage and he's praying over me. I've never told him this story about my dad. And he kind of has probably heard it maybe somewhere, but honestly, I just never forgave him, my dad. I never, I grew up as a kid that went to a basketball game and everybody had a dad and I didn't have one. Yeah. And it was always like a wound for me. And he's praying over me and he's praying over forgiveness. And he was telling me, he was using all the scripture of forgiveness. And man, I got so emotional. I called my dad for the first time in 20 years. He's only ever called me for money. You know what I mean? Yeah. And, I got on the phone with him and my heart for the first time, he said, "You're like a slingshot. If you would actually forgive and move forward, you've done so many good things, but you got to forgive." And I did that. And I'm telling you, my life changed in that instance when I did forgive, because the things that we sometimes go through in the past, if I didn't have that type of upbringing, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be the dad that I am today. But I never really thought about it like that till my pastor told me that. And then that forgiveness aspect made me a happier person. You know what I mean? Yeah. I gained 20% more happiness just by being you know what, man, everybody's going through something. Every leader, every dad. My dad was probably going through something crazy. Who knows? Whatever it is. So yeah, man. That's
how old were you? How old were you when he was gone?
I don't even know, man. Like probably
Okay.
4 or
So
5 or something like that.
you didn't remember it
Hey,
all.
but
Yeah.
I could understand. Me and my brother probably, we are the craziest people probably in the planet anyway. So you're probably like, dude, this couple of years of this shit, I gotta go, dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get the milk, and then, the milk was across the world. So it's all good.
Taught not caught. What or caught not taught? What did you ever catch the drug scene at all? Is
Oh
that ever?
yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, you get into the car business too, and I'm speaking to like the old car business. I'm 20 years into the car business, so 20 years ago the car business was a lot different than it is now. But I get in at 18, and I had some decent leaders. I had some pretty good leaders, but we also had like a culture of like going to the bar at noon and celebrating. I remember some of my managers bring shots in at 10 a.m. with them, right? And so like you don't think much of it as an 18-year-old to 25. It becomes kind of who you are. And then at 28, 29, you start having addiction and problems show up in your life. And after years of it, I mean, dude, like it literally was some of those things that almost wrecked my life. Right. So it's like, yeah, man, I started when you know you're not supposed to be a certain version of yourself, or you're supposed to be living out a certain version of yourself and you're not, it creates anxiety and internal frustration. And when you're not living that, I mean, especially if you're a high performance person and you're doing things behind the scenes that you shouldn't be doing, and you do them for long enough, man, you start to hate yourself. I woke up one day and I'm like, I couldn't sleep. I'd have anxiety and I'd be like, man, well, it's because I'm making money, but making money does not make you successful. And that's the thing in sales is people think that making money is successful. Leaders think that their people just putting up KPIs is successful. But who are they when they go home into their community? Who are we raising? Are we really like ministering the people in the Elliott Group? Like this is our ministry. The men that work for me, the women that work for us, if they're not good parents and good leaders and they don't have actually good habits that produce like more than just money, then they don't work here, man. And it'd be our fault if we can't lead them that way. And I was led to be a solid, badass salesperson. I could kill that, but I was so damn lost, man. And the most lost people just don't know they're lost most times. And I kind of knew, but it took a person like Andy coming into my life, and showing me. I remember when I met Andy, I said, man, like I was trying to learn even more sales tactics because I've always been like wanting to learn more and make more money. And, I flew down to train with him and he took me to church. And I was like, I don't want to go to church, man. I'm like, I'm not here for this. And he made me go to church and I found Jesus and I didn't know what that meant. And I would like really met Jesus. I'm not like super religious, but I think that, my relationship with Jesus is what matters, not just the religion, right? That's what it is. That's what matters. And, that changed the way I thought. That changed the way I actually showed up. That changed the way I treated my customers. It changed everything for me, right? I just never had a leader that ever even mentioned that, right? I never even heard of it. And then Andy's like, dude, you're 130 pounds. Like you look tired. And he was telling me all these things and I started working out with him and, like I'm 190 now. And it's like you got your mind, you got your body, you got your heart and you got your spirit, but most people don't take care of any of them. Or they take care of one and they're out of balance in all of them. So it took a good mentor like that helping me. And when Andy helped change my life, I was able to go into my store and change everybody's life. And like really like, cause I was kind of the person they looked up to. And as I started doing these things and started really changing my habits and my outlook on life, man, it changed my whole entire store. But yeah, man, that stuff was stuck all up in my blood. Like I was like, it just almost ruined me, man.
Yeah. So, did you have any sort of installation of Jesus or any spiritual life at all growing up? Did mom take you to church? Any of it introduced you?
Man, my grandparents went to church. They were like Southern Baptists and stuff like that from Texas. And I went to church with them once or twice when I was a kid. I'm like, I don't know about all this. Right. And so it just wasn't a culture. Like I had no clue. Right. And it wasn't, it just wasn't out there, so like, I had no idea about it.
And then, so how long have you been with Andy now?
So we opened the company 6 years ago and I was his first salesperson. Now I'm a partner in the company, president of the company, but we opened it 6 years ago and, and we opened it.
So when you came down for the training and he took you to church, you were still at the dealership life at that point, right?
Yeah. Yep. Just still selling cars.
Okay. And then, okay. So tell me about that transformation process of when, cause obviously you're like, all right, there's Jesus. It's okay. All right. Little Harry Potter-ish, kind of,
Yeah.
so tell me what that transition looks like. What do you start, how you start really digging in and buying into that concept?
Well, I'll tell you what, I just, I saw my life without Jesus, like what it was. And I was needing that peace. I was needing that love in my heart. It was like I was walking around with just a total missing piece in my life. And I couldn't figure out what it was. Tried to fill it with alcohol, tried to fill it with drugs, tried to fill it with women, tried to fill it with anything that I could try to fill it with. And those things always felt good for a while. And when I walked into this church, when I heard these types of messages, and when I felt the way that my heart felt, and when I could finally sleep at night, when I could finally see the next level version of myself, I finally found something that I couldn't find in anything else. And it was hard to explain. And I was running around trying to explain it to everybody, and everybody's like, they didn't experience what I experienced. So I kind of, started to see that it fell on some ears that people didn't understand, but it immediately changed the way that I looked at life. And when you change the way you look at life, life changes. And that's what changed for me. I started looking at everything that I did differently. And it was like, for me, and maybe it's not like that for everybody else, but for me, it was an immediate impact. For me, it was like immediately I couldn't unsee what I saw. And so immediately I wanted to be different. Immediately I wanted to be an example. Immediately I wanted to stop living the way that I was living. And immediately I wanted to start learning and understanding and, having more obedience. So I just started going on that mission, and, and that really was like the big game changer for me.
So, a big thing that I've been on lately, just kind of telling people, especially addicts, is that, I encourage them that, hey, man, you really don't have to ever stop being an addict. What's really cool about it is you could be you just be addicted to something else. Like, try Jesus. It's pretty cool. That's a good habit,
Absolutely.
And success and being a good father and a friend, and, be addicted to that stuff, and then see the rewards you get. And so,
yeah. And, salespeople are so addictive. Like, they're so, like, most of us have that like addictive trait where we got to like channel that into something. And, that's one of the approaches that we take that's different than our program than everybody else. Is everybody else wants to teach somebody a word track. Now, if you tell me I got to think about it, I can handle the word track. Of course, you got to think about it. I haven't given you enough information not to think about it. What I like to do is give you a quick 5-minute proposal, and I can do 900 different word tracks, 150 different ways. I can do all the framing, all of the NEPQ, all of this stuff, all of that stuff. But that doesn't matter if we don't really change the person. That doesn't matter if we don't really help the people. And so our program, what's different is it's that personal development level from like people that know that like everybody under your care is walking around with something that they want to change and grow in themselves. And so if we can help people really change that, man, that's more important than sales training. Sales training is second in our program. Identity, what people are going through, helping them patch up those holes. If they fix those things and they're training in sales, they get this thing called progress. They get that special feeling of like, wow, I'm becoming more. Wow, I've got a higher frequency, right? And so like, that's always been our approach. Like, yeah, and I've always struggled with the word sales trainers, because it's like, it doesn't really equate to like what we do. It's more of that, I guess you would call it like leadership based. It's like leadership centric sales training, because step one of leadership is you got to lead you. And in any company, in any style of leadership, you have to be able to lead yourself. And most people just aren't equipped with the right tools to be able to like fix these things in their life. And if they do, they really grow. And so that's our approach, man. We just want to help people fix the things that we know that they're going to go through or are going through. And when they can do that, they naturally become a better salesperson. And then if you put word tracks and different things in, man, they start believing in themselves more.
Yeah. And, you guys, from the external, because the nature of the business is training and all of that, people don't realize and understand that they come to you because they're seeking for, they think if I can just go down there and train, and if I can get better, and if I can sell 10 more cars a month, and if I can increase my income by, another $8,000 a month, then I can start being happy. And they're coming down there with the wrong sense of what they're going to leave with and find. And what I'm realizing that you guys are doing is you're going deeper. You're going into the heart. Like, buddy, Yeah, you can leave. They can leave there with some good, solid word tracks, and they'll be on fire. And you guys are going to get them all jacked up, and they'll go back to their store, and they're going to have a killer month, and they're going to slip back in their old ways, and they're still going to be fat, and they're still going to be lazy, and they're still going to hate their wives, and they're going to be miserable. And those word tracks are going to fall on deaf ears because they're coming out of mouths that are empty, and people slip. And so they don't understand what you guys are creating is you're creating a perpetuation of success, not just this isn't a flash success that you guys are trying to, and I think if people would understand, I hear a lot because, everyone knows that I'm been buddies with Andy and that I'm friends, and like, oh yeah, the six pack, dude. I'm like, you guys, it's deeper than that. You don't really understand. Like, that's just the vehicle because everybody wants a six pack, but what it takes to get a six pack is some serious discipline.
Yeah.
And what comes from that, you adopt the terminology of how you do anything is how you do everything. If you can go from being pretty fat to a six pack, the other shit you're going to do in your life is going to be outstanding. And nobody understands that that's just a start of things. That's not a prerequisite. That's not you have to do this to be good. That's not what you guys are saying. What you guys are saying, like, this is hard. This shit is hard. And if you get used to doing hard shit, it will spill over into every other aspect of your life. And that's why I'm so drawn to what you guys are doing, because I understand it at the heart level.
Yep.
And there's so many trainers and there's so many people out there that are so good tactically, and they aren't really getting to the heart issue, man. If a guy comes down to you broken internally, I don't give a shit what sales tactics you give him. It ain't going to last.
Yep.
And you guys are attacking that, so I commend you.
Yeah,
for
that's honestly the most important thing, and I don't know, it's the hardest thing. We could probably stick to sales tracks and not offend people and stuff like that, and but when in order to be successful, you have to be ready for hate, right? And all the disciples, anybody in the Bible, everybody was criticized, for what they believed. And so what we believe, we just stand on so heavily, and we do have a lot of energy. We do put our message out there pretty aggressively. But like the six pack or you're fired thing, like Andy put that out there, and everybody takes things out of context. And really what that means is, like, we have a mentality of, like, you're going to change in the company and you're going to grow and we're going to make you better, or you're going to get out of here. And when we have standards like that, the world used to be okay with standards that were like, hey, this is what I expect. This is how it's going to be done. I'm going to help you get there. Or, like, you're not going to be here. Now we're like, we'll just keep you for 5 years. We'll let you suck, and we'll let you go home and be a shitty husband. We'll let you be a shitty father. We'll just let you totally slip. And then, but we're not going to offend you. And we're just not cool with that, man. Like, we personally want to have high standards, and we don't want to be the people telling people something online like most people, and then not living behind the scenes at what they are, at what we're telling people. Like, my wife, if I post an Instagram reel and it's not what I do, dude, I might as well not go home tonight. Like, I might as well not go home at all. So anything that I'm doing, I'm actively fully pursuing and living at. And there's just a shortage of men that actually do that. There's a lot of men out there that they're winning on paper, but they're losing in private. And that's in business. It's play.
You'll appreciate this. Yeah, for sure. Hey, and have you found too, the more you do this and the more outspoken and the more bold you are with this, you hold yourself to a higher standard, because you're like, hey man, if I'm out here saying this stuff, and I better be living it. I'll tell you an example.
Yeah.
So my wife and I, she was out of town at a volleyball tournament with one of my daughters, and she's in an arena and she can't get signal on her phone. So she sends me a text, hey, can you do me a favor and get online and order the kids' soccer uniforms? And I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. I'm at work, I'm busy, but I'll pause for a minute and do that. And so I get on there, I log in and go through this whole deal, and it's like whatever I was supposed to order, it was out, right, and out of stock. And so I text her back, hey, this is out of stock. Should I go the next size or different color? What should I do? And then she doesn't text me, and I'm waiting. I'm working, right? I don't have time for this stuff. And finally she texts, oh, sorry, yeah, hey, try this size. So I log back in, because it logged me out because she took too long. So I log back in, and then she's like, and it doesn't work again, right? It's out. So I text her back, hey, that's out. Should I just did a different color? What should I do now? No text again. And I'm like pissed. I'm like, dude, I don't have time for this bullshit.
Yeah.
And so I text her and I said, hey, I need you to hold your phone in your hand and don't put it down for just 2 minutes. Help me get through this, and let's figure this deal out, and then I'll be done. And she's like, okay, sorry, I was watching the volleyball game. She's out of town in like freaking sunny Orlando or something, and I'm up here working, and which is fine, right? And so I'm like, all right, well, hold your phone. So I text her again, and she doesn't respond, and I'm fucking mad, boiling. And I typed this text, and it was hateful, right? And I'm like, WTF? And I'm pissed.
Yeah.
And I look at the text. And I don't send it because I'm going, you know what? I'm out here preaching the stronger leader and how men should lead their wives and be good to their wives. And I'm out here doing this publicly on social media, and I'm portraying this image of what a good man looks like. And I'm getting ready to send my wife this text. And I'm like, I deleted it.
I love that.
I deleted it. And I sent her another text like, babe, can you please just lock in for a couple minutes and help me out here? But I use that story because, man, I haven't arrived, and I know you haven't arrived, and you're out here getting better every day.
That's the mentality, white belt mentality.
Yeah, people get this false impression that we just think we're all that in a bag of chips. We are, but we're still learning. I want to be a bigger bag of chips.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's the thing about being a good leader is just going out there and being the first person that's makes mistakes but isn't scared to admit them and will go out there. I did this thing yesterday in our meeting. I said, I'm going to pass out these envelopes or these papers, and I'd like you guys all to just write and put in the envelope. You can put your name if you want to. I'd much rather it be anonymous, and just tell me 3 things that I can do better and something I'm doing wrong and something I'm not aware of, and just whatever I can do to help you. I mean, I had people write like 8 things, you know what I mean? So I had people write full paragraphs, you know what I mean? So, but it's like, it's just having that awareness, and we're all not perfect, but yeah, you're right. Like, especially when you're doing things publicly, you do have, when you have that calling and you're talking about it, then you actually want to like live up to that calling. So, I love that.
Yeah, that's great. So tell me now, what's you're the president of the company, the Elliott Group. Mm-hmm. What's your brother doing with you guys? Is he with you?
Yeah, me and my brother share the same title. So my brother and me, we work together every day. He sits right here, and my brother's really analytical. He's really, we're the same type of person, but we kind of have 2 different brains. And so I'm really sales driven. So we've got the company kind of split in half, and he's really good with the back end systems, processes, KPIs, everything. I'm really like front end driven, vision driven, and he's like more implementation. So we do the same thing, but it's like 2 different styles. You know what I mean? So we can kind of come together and be a powerhouse team together. So.
What's your current development, personal development, the things you're working on? Maybe your chink in your armor, so to speak. What's something you've been working on personally? Well,
man, I got a lot of chinks in my armor. I'm always investing in myself. I'm always trying to grow. I realize that how much I don't know, especially, when I took on this job in February of last year. It was like the greatest thing of my life. Oh my God, everybody had streamers and balloons. You're the president of the company. Oh my God. And, the celebration was great. And then Andy left to Dubai, and I thought his job was easy. And I always thought, man, this is great. I'm going to delegate all this stuff. Like, I'm going to get the big office and I'm just going to hang out. Like, that's honestly kind of what I thought. And, and I had led our sales team, but I didn't really understand this position until I was really in it. And it's the hardest thing I've ever done. First couple of months, I would drive every night to the Lifetime Fitness, like miles away from here, and I'd pray that I'd make it through like the next day, because I had so many things I wasn't like, and I honestly wish that like there was like a year of lag where I kind of stopped learning leadership, like stopped like actively pursuing, because I kind of peaked at my position maybe, I thought, and I wasn't preparing for the next position. And so there were so many things that I didn't understand and didn't know. And when you're new to something, and you suck at something, and you're a high performer in whatever you've done, it's really hard for high performers to learn new things and not be good at them, especially publicly when everybody's watching you. And so I had to apologize a lot to the company, to people. I was breaking things. I didn't know how to communicate to vendors, to things, and to people, and admin, and tech, and software developers, and so it was a very different, deeper. I looked over to Andy. I'm like, man, like, I thought I didn't really understand what you did, honestly. Right. Like now, so for me, every day I'm trying to kick my own ass. I'm trying to learn deeper levels of communication and styles, and I'm just trying to educate myself every single day on what's to come in the market. Like, we're heavily building AI and software right now for our dealers and for our companies. This we have this really cool software that literally goes out and finds the right people. It's backed by like, some of these top DMSs where we can really know exactly what it takes, like who is a top car salesman we're looking for, and we can pluck them out of the market. It's a crazy thing. It's a predictive software. We invested millions in it. It's honestly just absolutely killing it. And we can pretty much guarantee what this car sales guy is going to sell. But in order for it to build that, there's so much more you have to understand about software and developing and all this other stuff. So I'm really hooked on that. But separately from that, I've got a couple classes at Harvard Business School that I'm going to. I have one that comes up in March. So I'm really, geeked out on that business class that I'm going through. And then more than anything, I've committed to reading the Bible 3 times front and back this year. And so in order to do that, you've got to do like an hour a day, right? Like that's kind of what it says. So like, I'm like 28 days into that and it's going pretty good. And, so like more than that, I'm just trying to become a better, well-rounded leader. You know what I mean? So
that's great. I love that.
What about you?
Man, I got same all that stuff, man. I've this year so reading the Bible for me. So I'm probably one of the most religious people you've ever met that can't recite a Bible verse.
Yeah.
It's because I bought completely into what you talked about earlier about the relationship with Jesus. It's like he's my boy. You know what I mean? I got this deep and profound, but I know Scripture is like ammunition. That's how you. It's a weapon, right? Knowing that Bible is a weapon. So I have also committed I've been reading Proverbs. I did the whole month of December because it's 30. I didn't even realize this. Proverbs has 31 books.
Yeah.
So you can read one proverb a day, most months obviously. And then, so I've been doing that. I'm on my second month of reading back through it again. And, just wisdom. I have an older brother that's been in the car business a long time. He's 15 years older than me. And so my dad was teaching one to drive and one to walk, So,
yeah. That's crazy.
I've always looked up to him. And one of the things he told me when I was younger, he said, smart, because I'm a hard learner, man. You tell me the stove's hot, Ian, and I'm going to tell you that I'm stronger and tougher than you, that I can handle a hotter stove than you can, right?
Yeah.
But inevitably, I'm going to burn my hand. So I have learned through his teaching is that a smart person learns from his mistakes, because that's what I used to always say. I know I'm a hard learner, but I learn from my mistakes. My brother's like, pump your brakes, bro. Wise people learn from other people's mistakes. And I'm like, and as I've gotten older and the mistakes, at my age with married, 3 kids, everything else, the mistakes there's more on the line, right? There's way more cost in the mistakes that we can make now at this level. And so I'm seeking wisdom. I'm 47 years old. And I'm seeking wisdom now, actually for the first time ever, but I'm seeking wisdom like on a deep, profound level. I'm talking like that spiritual discernment type of wisdom where you can, almost have a supernatural clairvoyancy, through Christ. Yeah. And so that's been a big task of mine. And then in March of last year, I met a man by the name of Dr. Wayne Chappelle. And he is a psychologist. He's the team doctor for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And so I've been actually working with him. I worked pretty much weekly or biweekly for the first 6 or 7 months. And he and I have become really close. So I work with him on an ongoing basis.
That's great, man.
Just trying to get, hit that next level. And he's a devout Christian as well. So I'm hitting it on, on a science level, on a biblical level, on, worldly level, spiritually level. I'm trying to, I want to level up, man, and be untouchable.
That's great, man. I love that, man.
Yeah. And so that's where all the development of all this stuff has come about. And I read a book. Well, I like to do audiobooks in the car a lot. So the audiobook, and there was a guy, his name's fleeing me right now. He's a Harvard guy. It'll come to me. But anyway, he talks about happierness instead of seeking happiness, because happiness is fleeting, right? So seeking happierness, and that's more of a journey, right? Because there's always an opportunity to be better, be happier. But if you're trying to find happiness as a destination, there's no such thing.
Yep.
It's such a fleeting. What I'm trying to find is being content without feeling complacent. And for the longest time, I haven't known. I thought they were synonymous. If you're content, that means you're going to be complacent. And that's where I've found rest in Jesus, right? And finding like, it's okay sometimes being okay. Right. It's okay being okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's like that proverbial hamster wheel and that rat race, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you,
Everybody looks for it in the distance. You know what I mean? Today's the
and
good old days.
yeah,
Like
and the
today
trap
is,
the
yeah,
trap in that is that the hamster wheel is you never get there, right? You never, because you're seeking
yeah,
fulfillment, which you think is happiness, and it's a false the arrival fallacy. If I can, then I would. If I
yeah.
could just get here, then I would, right? It's
Yeah,
a
I lived
fallacy.
that for 12 years, man. 12 years
Yeah.
straight. I remember. I remember. It's there's a quote that says it's from the Bhagavad Gita. It's like the wise man seeks happiness under his feet, the fool seeks it in the distance. And I remember I'm
Mm.
like, man, when I get this Lamborghini, when I make this type of money, I'm gonna be happy. And I lived my entire 20s like that. Like a pretty like just kind of a miserable guy, to be honest with you. Like I was just like always like just like I was just chasing. Like that's all I did,
Just
chasing.
grinding.
And there's some good in that in the sense of like that like I learned a skill that most people didn't have. I can look back in that and I have like a reputation that I'm proud of that I like went after it, but I was not happy. Like I was not a happy guy. I didn't understand happiness. I worked 15 hours a day. I didn't really understand anything, and I just thought when I get this thing, I would get it. The saddest part about that is when you get it, because I did eventually catch it. When you catch it and you're sitting in that Lamborghini, you have that house, but you're there and you realize now that you've caught it and you're not having happiness. That's the loneliest feeling you'll ever feel in your entire life. I promise you. I
Yeah, you
sat
run
there
out
in
of
that, I
options.
sat there in that thing and I was like, well, now what do I do? I mean,
Yeah,
'cause
right.
I have to like, well, now it's gone. And then I was like depressed because I'm like, well, like now I'm never going to be happy because I worked so hard to like stay on track to get the happiness and then it never came. So like even even this, there's a thing on my wall here, and my number one goal of the day is just to be happy. Like no matter what happens, no matter what that's my goal for today. Because like my mind works in a way where like I'm always solving problems and things are always happening and nothing's ever good enough. That's how I always am in business. Like I'm like it has to be better. We can do more. We can but I don't ever just kind of like stop and enjoy it or like, sometimes I'm not that like I can be not a joy to be around because I am
Yeah.
so driven. So I'm constantly having to coach myself like, look around, dude. Like this was your dream 5 years ago. This was,
Yeah.
we're sitting in a 70,000 square foot facility that, we didn't inherit. We built every inch of the glass, every inch of the facility. The gym that's downstairs for our people was a dream when we didn't have any of it. And so I have to coach myself just like I coach leaders and executives. I'm like, dude, you have to be able to look at what you have now and you have to actually be happy with it because people will actually want to drive more with you if you are a person that walks in the room and can instill happiness versus like you're telling people something, but you're just kind of a miserable guy. And so, that's a trick, man. That's something that's hard to do.
Perspective, right? You always got to keep that good perspective. Like, hey, we're trying to get here, but where we are is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for sure.
Yeah.
And there's another thing too, and you're getting ready to come up on this because at 40, there's physiologically there's something that happens where, and I didn't know this, and I'll explain it to you, and then I'm like, I had a aha moment. This is about I don't know 6-8 months ago. I'm reading this book and. There's a thing called crystallized intelligence. And what happens is at some point in your life, there's a developmental pattern where learning, you and I we're constantly seeking, we're trying to be taught. I'm open-minded. I'm trying to get better. I'm open to hearing advice and wisdom. And, I'm open to all of that. And though I am still, and I'm never going to stop learning and growing, the more I learn, and I'm thinking the more I learn, the more podcasts I can listen to and the more books I can read and all that, the more I can learn, the more fulfillment I'm going to get. And then you kind of almost reach a little bit of a plateau because it's like God does something in you where, okay, hey, now it's time for you to start teaching. Mm-hmm. And that's what the crystallized intelligence is. And then so you kind of, you go here and you're getting fulfillment because you're learning and you're growing, and then you kind of start plateauing. And the next level that people don't know, and this is why around age 40, guys start kind of slipping into a little bit of a, I don't know, I don't want to say depression, but, maybe not finding more fulfillment because they're not spending time now developing others.
Yep.
Right. And as you develop others, now you're learning how to become a teacher. So you're still learning, right? But and then what happens is that's where that deep sense of fulfillment comes from, because now you're actually giving back.
Yep.
And you're feeling, and so I learned that. It's called crystallized intelligence, and there's another word for the intelligence before, and I'll figure it out. I'll send it to you. But and I'm like, oh, that makes sense, because ever since I started this stronger leader stuff and really started pouring into people's development personally, not just training them on how to sell cars and, how to run departments and all that, but actually pouring into them personally, this overwhelming sense of fulfillment, because I do well. I make a good living financially. We don't want for anything, but I was still chasing that like deep fulfillment, And then when I started helping people, which is completely free to me, I'm inviting people to church. I'm doing that shit, giving people, helping with Bible studies and things like that. And there's no financial gain to that, but yet I got the most fulfillment out of it. And then I heard this book, and it's because of that crystallized intelligence. I was like, that makes perfect sense. That's why I'm feeling so freaking good about myself. Yeah. So I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing from a physiological level.
Yeah. No, man, I actually deal with that a lot, because there's a division of our company, because we created all of these systems. And like when I started, we didn't even have a CRM. Like now we have 100+ employees, multiple departments, different divisions, all kinds of different stuff. And so there's a division of our company, and it helps coaches build what we have. Like, so they want and the people that come through that, they're usually like, it's always the same person. They're 40 years older, typically. Mm-hmm. They've seen Andy's message. They're like one of, I don't know, I can name a million of them, but they've been successful in business. Like I just got off the phone with the guy that owns 3 dealers, and he's like, I'm happy, I've got everything I want, but like I'm missing something. And he's like, and then he sees kind of like the anointing in Andy standing up, doing what he's doing, showing people how to do this. And he knows that he's capable of doing it, but he's like, he has like some fear of like putting it out there, or social media, or building it, or whatever, or speaking on stage, or consulting, or whatever. Like they always have a lot of the same problems. And so we've helped hundreds of men that are typically that guy. I never heard it like that. So that's actually just like now like unlocked exactly what I see over here, is because they always come to me. They're always usually like 40, 41, 40, 50 years old. And like I have a guy flying in tomorrow, sold his company for 120 something million. And he's like, I'm missing something. I'm missing what you're doing in the world. I'm 45. I don't want to go back and open this. I feel like I'm supposed to give back something. Yeah. And that's, and a lot of people run into that. Like once I feel like a lot of people that are tapped into something and they're aware, they go across what we now know as crystallized intelligence, and they see like, man, I've got these gifts and I'm like dying to give them back. And there is nothing better than being able to reach back and help somebody and show them the way and guide them. So I do spend a lot of time with that division, because I've felt that same fulfillment and give back of showing like the 18-year-old kid, or the 22-year-old kid, or the 30-year-old sales manager, or the 30-year-old VP, or GM, like how to operate, and like me being like, oh my God, you should have seen this guy, or this one went and sold this or did that, and man, it's so true. People need that, man. Even if you have all the money but you got no fulfillment, like there's a different level of living when you have that.
That's joy, right? That's joy. Yeah. People don't understand peace and joy and what those words actually mean, man. It's deep. It's deep.
Yeah, true that.
Yeah. Yeah. They always say too, you are most equipped to help the person you once were. And so that's where you're digging in, and that's where you find so much fulfillment with helping the younger guys, doing the shit that you did, right?
Oh yeah, 100%, man. 100%. I'll tell you what, one of the craziest stories for us, and I think you'll like this, is when we first started, we were just sales trainers trying to help sales guys. And, I had a couple $100,000 in the bank, and we started this company, and I wasn't naive because I had lost money trying to start a company before. So I kind of figured I'd go bankrupt or lose my money. Like that had happened to me before. And so, and in that time, I didn't realize that like it was preparing me for this, because I knew going into it was going to be hard because I had lost it before. So like when I was losing it before, I was like all sad, but that ended up being the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because it's the only reason why I was able to make it today. But we didn't have a product. We didn't have anything. Losing money month over month to month. I lose my sister the first month that we start the company. She has 3 kids. They don't have a dad. And so now I take on 3 kids, their bills, everything like that.
She passed away?
Passed away. Yep. Passed away from, like a drug issue. And, like just went out one night, did things she shouldn't have, and God rest her soul, paid for it. And, but 3 kids, one was 1 year old, one was 6 at the time, and then one was like 17. So it was a really hard thing to fly there, pull them out of school, bring them to another state. Same point in time, my hero, my grandfather, passed away like a month after that. And he was super proud to see that we were stepping out into this dream and this mission. And he spent his whole life as a teacher, 50 years, was a Vietnam vet, a Korea vet, and then got into that, married 70 years, good guy, right? Lose him. And then, also I'm going to do this thing that I'm telling everybody I'm going to go do. The girl I was with at the time, I honestly wasn't that great of a leader at the time. So it's not just her, but she was just causing me issues. We went through a divorce, like broke up. It was horrible. And I left. I gave her everything I had. I was like, other than like half the money, I was like, we didn't even that's how it's going to be. So I'm going through all of this stuff. Like as you're going to create a big life, it's like, there's a lot of things that happen to you. And I really feel like it's like the enemy just trying to make sure that you don't get it. Because when you're fully activated and you're fully stepping into your purpose, you're going to change millions of lives that you'll never know, but you're going to change millions of lives, right? And I could have quit. I started losing all my money as we're opening this company. I've got still $30,000, $40,000 of bills going out every month, and that's only going to last so long. And I'm not, for the first time, I'm like the happiest I've been. Like, man, like, it's going to happen. Like I got faith. I've seen it. God's provided. I've seen this building. I saw every inch of this building. I used to run around. There's videos of me talking about exactly how this building looks. It's like down to the paint, the colors, the parking lot, everything. Like everything in a whole different state where we didn't even know this existed. And, but as we started to do good and we started to like sign dealers up, and I remember I got my first big dealer. It was like 20 rooftops. And again, I'm not making money. And like, this is my first chance to make money. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is great. And we're just training them on sales, but we got people flying in, and our top clients, like the ones that we knew and really like got to know, we take them to church with us, take them to the gym with us, and then do the sales training. But when a dealer would fly their people out, we just didn't do it because we were like scared. We were like, we just will let them come to the sales training, And Andy calls me one day, and you'll love this. And he says, man, we're not giving people the 100% truth. This is who we are, but we're giving them 1/10 of who we are and trying to tell them this is how we live life and this is what's going to work for them. But we're not really showing them the one thing that we know will change everything. Jesus, fitness, and like their identity. Like we're not showing them that. Right. And I'm like, Andy, if you go, because again, I didn't have courage. I was like losing everything. I'm trying to like stay afloat. I'm like, I'm telling you, like I'm embarrassed of this person that I was, but like I had a good leader that guided me through this. And he goes, Ian, it's not going to matter. If they cancel, then they're not going to be with us where we're going. And I was like, dude, you can't do this. Don't go on. He goes online the next day. He's talking about Jesus. He's got his shirt off. He's talking about fitness. And in this industry, it got very controversial. And the dealer called me and they said, tell him to put his shirt on and tell him to stop talking about God. And I was like, Andy, stop talking about God. Stop talking about fitness. They're going to cancel us. He said, Ian, screw them. Send them the cancellation and refund them the last month's money. I don't want their money, and cancel them. You cancel them. And I'm like, I'm mad and I'm angry, man. I'm pissed. He won't answer the phone now. He hung up. Marching orders are given. I'm pissed off. I do it. I'm mad for like a week. And our business dropped like 50%. Half the dealers we had, which wasn't many, canceled. And I'm like, bro, I just worked for a year for this. Like, what are you doing? And it started to make sense. All the messages in church started to be exactly what we were experiencing. Everything started to happen, and it was like so crazy. And then our business shot up 3,000%. Then we, and I'm telling you, is because I really feel like God wanted to see if we really step out there and do what we said we were going to do. And, there's the scripture, it says, to whom much is given, much is required. And it was like, we had to shepherd what that blessing was. And we weren't just meant to be just this. We were meant to show people more of like actually what life is. And and we weren't, it's like, there's a scripture too, it's written on my desk. It says, you weren't promoted by men, you were positioned by God. Psalm 75, verse 6 and 7. Your authority doesn't come from a title, it comes from the assignment. And that was our assignment, right? Mm-hmm. And we stepped out there, man, it went viral on the internet. Everybody in the business, a lot of them didn't like it, but it got it to the people who did. We had every dealer group and people, a lot of people were reaching out. Some people didn't like it. It just became a talk. And honestly, people were coming down, and finally we were bringing them through these fitness challenges. Man, we had people losing weight, like 50, 60, 70 pounds back at their dealers. GMs were calling me like, this guy lost 60 pounds. What did you do? I'm like, we're not a fitness training company. Matter of fact, dude, we talk about fitness and we don't even get paid for it. That's the wildest thing, because we're not fitness trainers. Right. And dealers would call me like, this guy's got more energy. He's killing it. He's fine. Like, how did you do this? This guy stopped smoking cigarettes. This guy was an alcoholic and he quit drinking. And it was like, we would do these seminars and we'd start out with fitness, and then we do our training, and it was a lot of identity training. Then we teach sales. And then, honestly, we would have our pastor stop by and we'd have him preach. And, then we tell everybody else, hey, you can come. If you want to come to church with us tomorrow, you can come to church with us. We're not pushing this on anybody, but if you want to come, you can come with us. And honestly, those are the things that I'm most proud of. And it's crazy because most people aren't online, even the people that are mad about it. It's like, if you're mad about people talking about God, fitness, being a great father, being a great leader, I think more they're just offended because I think most of them want to be bold, them to step out. And they're just like, maybe they don't like the way that we do it or whatever. But, like Andy's keys, like on his keys, this last thing I'm going to tell you real quick is on his keys, I'll never forget this. One of our seminars, I take a call from this guy at like 1 a.m. Our coaches, my team, man, they're working all night long. Like they go home to their families, but like they're getting people. We're in a business where some people are calling us and they got great lives, they got great dealers, they want to add to it. And then we got some people that are salespeople that are calling, they're watching a video and they're getting ready to end it. And they're upset, they're sad, they're depressed, they're drunk, they're screwed up, their wife just left them. They've got every issue, and we're like their last hope. So we've got to be that example of that. This other scripture on my desk says, God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. And we're equipped to help these people. That's why I tell my team. And this one guy, he calls me and I take his call. He comes down to a seminar. He's sad. I didn't really know how sad he was at the time. He's from former military. He comes down here, he grows. I could tell he had some issues. We worked through them. Fast forward 6 months, he comes down to his next seminar and he gets up on stage and says, I got to tell Andy this one thing. I got to tell Ian this one thing. He said, I want to play this video. And the team had the video set up. He played the video and his daughters are like, thank you for saving my daddy's life. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And we don't really know what they mean, but we're like, oh yeah, we're clapping. We're like excited about it. And he goes, let me tell you something. I've got these dog tags and I want to give you these dog tags because in the military, it symbolizes that like somebody's passed away. I recreated myself and I no longer am the guy that's on these dog tags. And I was sitting on the edge of my bed. I had a gun loaded and I was getting ready to kill myself. I was sick of the life that I had. I didn't know what to do. I saw one video at 1 a.m. and I thought, this is my last hope. And I called the number. I couldn't believe you guys answered, and you guys never knew how much I was hurting, but you breathed life into me, and it saved my life. He's got 4 kids, military. Dude, business for a man nowadays, it's like you got to go learn sales, leadership, marketing, this, that, how to open your LLC. Like there's a lot to do. You got to be faithful. You got to be community. You got to do this. You got kids. You got to know them. You got to go sacrifice. And it can all get really confusing. Sometimes it's like a suicide mission. It's like they just don't know what to do with it all. And it saved his life. He became the number 1 guy in his store, transformed his whole life. He's still a really good client of ours today. But it just told me that, like, man, there's just more to life than just, teaching people to sell. Like, that's important. That guy now is a great sales guy. But leaders out there, and if you're a leader listening to this, like, you're qualified. You're the person that is supposed to be the mentor. You're supposed to be the person that looks in their eyes every day and can see the sadness, can see the hurt, can actually connect with them and know when they're having a problem at home with their wife. And can they look at your relationship and be like, man, I want something like that. And can you guide them to have something like that? Can you guide them to not be one of the guys that like are just that end up dealing with these problems? Can you be the leader that you once needed? And a lot of them just don't have that. That's why we are so popular and so hated. Like there's a lot of people that don't like us, but there's millions of people that have changed their life because our founder had the courage to step out there and get made fun of every day. And we get death threats every day. Some guy just sent my phone a message and he said, I'm going to kill you and your family and all this stuff. And, it's just the thing that we're in, it's just the thing that we're in, but we just always want to remember what it felt like to not be great at something. And I feel like so many people want to be great out there. They just need some men to step up and show them the way and to be there for them and help them in their businesses and really take care of their businesses. You know what I mean? So yeah. I just thought those stories were a couple cool ones that like, man, they really changed the way my heart felt about people.
Yeah, that's great. And if any of you are watching this and you're on the fence or you're leaning on that hater side of the Elliott Army, change your side of the fence. I'm telling you, these guys are
like nobody that's ever met us really ends up not liking us. But what they don't like is like Andy's a very militant, in your face kind of guy. Like if Andy wasn't as extreme, then we wouldn't have a company today. A lot of people like to talk about Andy's past, so I'd like to talk about it real quick because they're like, oh, he had this happen in his past and all that stuff. We love to talk about it. Like that, it's not something we run from. In our industry, especially for Andy didn't have any good leaders. It's not a cop-out. He really was raised a certain way in a certain business that he didn't know a lot of the things. Did he know some of the things he was doing was wrong? Absolutely. Did he do anything about it? No, because he didn't have a spine like most men in this world to choose to do what's right when everybody's telling you to do what's wrong, right? And so for us, we know what it feels like. If Andy didn't have the past that he has, we wouldn't have a company today because all of the people that have changed the most in our program, they have something in their past that they hated about themselves. And God gave Andy this freaking Goliath, like gave him these things that he wasn't proud of and said, you either face them and fix them so you can help others, or you just ride off in your sorrows. And he had a time in his life where he could have just put his head down, wholesaled cars, never talked about it, flew under the radar, made some money. But instead he said, man, I've got to go show some people how not to live and how I embarrass my family and how I'm living in shame and how I am just not proud of myself, and people always ask me, they're like, does Andy get worked up from all the haters that he's got? And I'm like, do you know what it's like to embarrass your family? Do you know what it's like to just feel like you're in a prison and you can't get out and like everything feels wrong and like he had more hurt back then knowing he was doing everything wrong than to like now changing millions of lives and dealing with a few people on the internet. Like life was bad then, life is good now, becoming an example from a totally lost, total piece of shit, like totally gone, lost, couldn't figure anything out, doing everything wrong, to a guy that actually, if you actually know him, he lives at a standard that most men, if they really understood the level he lives at, man, oh man, you would just, any man, if they're a man of value, would love to live at the level that he lives at. Great father, great husband, great leader. And I told him the other day, I said, man, if you didn't have the courage to face your demons, I wouldn't have the kids I have today. I wouldn't have the family I have today. I wouldn't have the feeling in my heart that I have today, because like those things came at a price, and the price was him stepping out there, and then obviously me stepping out there. But if he would have never stepped out there, I honestly think that I would still be that sales guy that thought he was great, that really wasn't shit, that really was going to lead a family into what my dad led me into. So, for the leaders out there, I think we just all got to step up, and there's things that we're doing that we're not proud of. We got to change. We got to go to the next level, and we got to know that just like my mom, I was watching her, and just like your sales team, they're watching you. They're watching your relationship. They're watching the way that you process anger. They're watching the way that you process customers that are angry. They're watching the way that you process other departments. They're watching the way that you process everything. So it's all happening. It's all happening. It's all getting processed.
Yeah, I had a guy on here the other night, and it's a pretty gross statistic, and it's unfortunate that he was sexually abused from 5 years old to 15 years old by the man that introduced him to Jesus. It was his stepfather. So they're in the church, devout in the church, and meanwhile he's at home getting abused by his stepfather sexually. And a statistic that he had, and it kind of made me think about some other things, but a statistic he had is that 93% of men that go through it, first of all, like 1 in every 4 men are abused in some sort of way sexually as a kid. That's a crazy statistic, okay? And then on top of that, 93% of those men, they take it to their grave. They never even say anything. So you're only talking, and the 7% that say something, they don't come out until 21 years do they say anything, and then it takes 27 years to really fully disclose everything that happened. So we're talking about how men, and then so fill in the blank, maybe not something as severe, but shame, right? Men go through life harboring the shame, and there's a saying that he said that all these men that have it, that never come out with it, they either die with it or die from it. And man, there's so much in being vulnerable as a man and opening up and not dying with shame or whatever you think. There's an anchor holding, if you're not reaching your highest highs as a leader or as a man, let's just say you're a man. You don't have to be a driven, like wild, crazy, successful business, but as a man, as a great father, if you're not great at being a husband and great at being a father, at least you have an anchor holding you down, and you need to talk to somebody about it. And it's some sort of shame that's housing you from your past that you either don't want to talk about, and you can just let it go. And then that's what you guys are doing. You guys are bringing these pieces out in people because Andy's starting with him, right? Being vulnerable about his past. I'm not running from it. It shaped me to where I am now, and God takes and makes the good things from things that are bad, right? He turns all things good for those that believe. And so anything that's been bad in your life, he's going to flip the script that the devil tried, and he's going to make it good. Like Andy, we look at in some of these stripes that we have as not as shame, but as badges of war, war wounds. These are war stripes. Like that, these scars on me are from the wars that I've been through, and that's why I'm the man I am today.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, I think most men don't have, they don't have a real safe type of place where they can actually get around other men that, that they can actually have like that outlet. Like we have this thing called the Brotherhood, and these guys are all able to talk and be around each other and heal. And we do all these like really special things together. And they're able to actually be around people that understand them. A lot of them, like even especially when you're leading a company, it's one of the loneliest places to be. Like it truly is. And so if you don't have a brotherhood, if you don't have people that you can count on, if you're harboring a lot of that on your heart, man, I would say get rid of it. Like get around people that can show you that next level. One of my great friends, Steve Weatherford, he's trying
to hook up with Steve. You should shoot him a text for me. Tell him to hook up with me. We've exchanged some messages.
Oh yeah, He'll do it. He's a great friend of mine. Super Bowl champion. But he was abused. He had a lot of things happen to him. He was an alcoholic, porn addict. The day he won the Super Bowl was the worst day of his life because it was just kind of like me talking about reaching, the pinnacle and then realizing nothing was there. And, so he comes down and he preaches so heavy at these men, and we do these revival things with men where it's like you'll watch a grown man that hasn't cried in 25 years break down. You'll watch somebody that feels like they've got a Goliath on their heart. You don't realize, like, God gave David Goliath. He didn't give him a crown. He gave him a chance, and he gave him a chance to have courage and go after it and slay the dragon. And he did that, right? And it's like, men just, I feel like they're so isolated, and for so long we've said like, just be strong and just hustle through it and soldier on when there's a lot of good to that. There's a lot of good to soldiering on, but most of us don't have a problem with soldiering on. Most of us have a problem up here with actually processing some of these things and learning some frameworks around how to think about them and how to talk about them and how to put them out there. And so like, if you do carry that, then you got to get around other people that have that. And there's no shortage of people out there right now of great leaders. Like if we look at Bedros Koulian, he talks about that all the time. He's got a men's program that does that. I mean, you got Steve Weatherford. There's a pastor called Rob Ing. He hates to be called a pastor. He wants to be called an evangelist. He's like, I'm not a pastor. I just teach people how to have a relationship with God, not religion. And so like you look at, there's so many outlets now for men, but they've just got to be willing to get out there and get the information. And when you get around new people, new experiences, and new information, your whole life can change in one conversation. Your whole life can change in one weekend. And so that's what we really like to invite men to do is get down in an environment where they can actually make a big change that changes everything. Because when the leader changes, everything changes. When the leader changes, the house changes. When the leader changes, the kids change. When the leaders change, the business changes. When the leader changes, your employees' kids change. Like, so it's not about you. It's like, but if we don't make it about you and make you grow, then you're literally cutting the legs off of other people that are in your organization that are dying to hit this next level, but they can't do it if you don't do it. They can't heal if you don't heal. They can't. So we gotta be able to just look in the mirror and kill that ego and go out there and really go to war on ourselves.
Yeah, I always tell people in my interviews when they come on, like, hey man, I hope you work with me until you retire, until we both retire, but if you don't, the one promise I will give you is that you're going to leave me better than the way I found you. You're going to be, either a better man, you're in better shape, you'll be a better husband, father, or women that work for the same. I promise, my commitment to you is that you will be better than the way I found you.
I love that, man. I love that. I really feel like that's our calling, is to help the people that are with us and really take good care of them. Like if you come into this company, we set you up with a financial advisor. We set you up fitness check-ins. We set you up with all these things. I meet with your wife, monthly, so we can talk about their dreams. We have this thing called Chief Dream Officer. It's my brother. We turn in all the dreams to my brother. My brother's like, okay, they want to get out of debt. They're in this. They want to get this house. All right, let's go dream with them. Let's go get into their house. Let's go take them to that house that they want to buy. Let's walk through it. Let's envision it. Let's see what it is. And a lot of leaders, man, they just got to wake up to leadership isn't something that you slap on a mug. It's something that you become. It's something like success isn't something that you get. It's not something you obtain. It's something that you are, right? It's a frequency. It's who you become. And so if we can just do a better job, like right now, I think it's the easiest time to create a great sales team. Why? Because there's not a lot of people that are obsessed with creating great people. And so like if everybody's a robot and walking around, it's I don't really care. What we start with is the leaders, and then we start with the salespeople. And if we can create great leaders, then we can create great salespeople. We can have a great business. But more than anything, there's the eternal life that we're going to have to report to. And did we take good care of these people like we were appointed to do? That's the number one goal.
Yeah. A thing that I've told my guys is if you were to quit here, the managers and the leadership team, if you were to quit here today or be stripped of your title, how many of the people that are here working under you would still talk to you? Because if whoever would, then that's the person, that's an example of how you're leading, because you're probably leading them appropriately. But if you don't have anybody that's going to talk to you and still be friends to you and still want to be part of your life after you leave here, you're just managing them. You're not leading them.
Facts. Hey, I would go into car deal. I don't visit dealers as much as I should. I'm actually going back on the road to visit a lot of dealers. I'm going to one in first week of this February. 20 stores are coming together and we're training them or whatever. But I would go into early dealer training meetings. Now we have the team that goes out to them, but I'd go to early dealer training meetings, and managers got a lot of ego. I'm the best leader ever and all this other stuff. And I'd say, salespeople, before we get started, at the end of the night when I go home tonight, I just want to study your mentors. Like I want you to think about this: the number one person who affected your life, or the top 5 people. I just want to study the top 5 people that come to mind right now. Think of them right now. In your store, outside of your store, online, wherever they're at. And so I kind of am framing, they could be in your store, they could be right here, they could be anywhere in your life. I'm not like just like on the internet. I'm like anywhere in your life, your store, who hired you, whatever it is. I want to study these people no matter where they're at. Can you put their names on paper? And what dealers would find out is like, some managers would get 0 votes. They would get, because I'm like, you're a manager. And people don't run through walls for managers. They run through walls for coaches and leaders. Yeah. And I'd show the managers, and it'd be a sobering moment to some of them. Some of them would get really mad about it. But there's good coaches and bad coaches. My son, he's 8 years old, one of my kids. And for the first year in baseball 2 years ago, he didn't hit the ball one time. And I was the dad, because I've never played baseball. I was like, come on, man, you can't suck at this. And I'm like yelling at him. And I'm like, and then like mid-season, I'm like, I haven't even taught him. I've literally not even sat down with him. So I started sitting down with him. But I noticed something on his team. And this is a good analogy. On his team, they would show up late. Their jerseys were always untucked. They always played in the sand. And that was most teams we played against, right? But there was this one team that absolutely killed them. They showed up early. They stayed late. They cleaned both dugouts. These kids were sharp. These kids had chance. They were alert. They knew what to do. I mean, these kids look like total professionals. Like they look like the best team you'd ever seen in your entire life. Their families parked a certain way. They pulled in, they backed in. The dads were dialed in, like the moms were dialed in, the snacks were dialed in. And I walked over to the coach after and I said, hey man, my kid's not hit the ball yet. I'm frustrated with myself personally too, but I didn't tell him this, but I'm like, I'm frustrated personally because I know it's me, but I also know it's like the environment I have him in. And, I grew up playing sports, so I understand that like if you have a good coach, it can maximize your potential, but if you have a bad coach, it can also harm your potential. Yeah. And so I said, hey man, can I get my kid on your team? He's like, dude, we're maxed out. We got the best team in the league. And I said, like, hey man, like I saw you guys are trying to raise money for jerseys, right? And all this stuff. I can see you guys have these things, these signs. I said, I'll pay for all of the jerseys for the next 5 years. However long you're coaching, like I'll write a check. Thank God I got some resources, but I'm like, I'll do whatever it takes. And he's like, all right, done. You're right. And so like I get my kid on the team and check this out. He has a meeting with me. He says, all right, I want to meet with you and your wife, your house. Here's the time, date. He comes over to my house and he's like, here's the expectations. Get a pen and paper. Expectations of the team. How we're going to onboard. He gives me all the things I need to buy from Dick's Sporting Goods, a net, this and that. Videos. That's like KPIs. This is management, dude. He's giving me an onboarding manual. Here's what I expect from you as a dad. You're going to send a video every night of your son playing baseball. You're going to play baseball with him for 30 minutes every night. This is the video I want from you. If you don't send a video, you're fired from the team. Like the whole deal. And I'm like, wait, I write onboarding training for companies. I'm thinking like, this is an onboarding manual. This is expectations. This is what I teach companies how to run high performance teams. He's running that on me. And the guy owns one of the best businesses here in Arizona. So as I started talking to him, he's like, I'm just taking the same thing that I've learned in business and running the play here. And that's the deal. We had expectations. It made me a better dad. It made me a better coach. Every night I'm going home and I'm drill practicing, rehearsing him. Not just what we do when he's by himself, but like what we do at home is everything. Not just what we do at practice, what we do at home. And it's going great. My son goes out there. First game hits 3 balls. Next game hits 4. Next game hits 3. Didn't hit less than 2 the whole year. Next season, my son's the best on the team. My son's the best on the team. And he's cranking it. But he was a kid that had zero confidence. He was a kid because I didn't understand as a manager, kind of like if we looked at it, I'm kind of like the manager. I didn't understand how to set him up for success. I needed like my general manager to come teach me as the sales manager how to set him up for success. And then I needed to keep him accountable to certain KPIs. Hey, you're going to run this much. You're going to do this. This is the food your coach wants you eating. Like the guy gave me meal plans for an 8-year-old. He's like, he's
great.
Waking up and eating. Is he waking up and eating cereal? I said, yeah, he does. Nah, he's eating oatmeal. He's doing this. He needs energy. He's going to need this. And so, I look at all these like little things, like most leaders, they forget what it's like to even be new at something. They forget like I went over, this is a great leadership tip for you, for anybody. I went over and I heard this on a podcast. I can't remember what it was. And they said, try something brand new to remember what it's like to be new. Cause I'm a black belt in sales, dude. I've done it for 20 years. I've done leadership for, a long time. So I'm like, man, I forget what it's like to be new. I went to a jiu-jitsu place. As I'm driving over there, I'm nervous, man. I'm scared. I pull up to the front of the jiu-jitsu place. I'm kind of like I'm not like scared, like I'm like wanting to leave, but I'm like, what's it going to be like? I'm kind of introverted. In these conversations, I'm not that introverted, but I'm naturally kind of an introverted guy, even though I know how to get in the sales and do a show, because that's what I was taught. Yeah. But by myself, I'm naturally introverted. So I'm like, is there going to be people there? Are they going to look at me? Like, wow. So I get my little robe on. This guy comes over. He's greeting me. He's like, oh, it's your first time? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, I got you. He's instilling confidence in me. Hey, here's how it's going to go. He puts me up with a 14-year-old kid. This kid folded me up like a lawn chair, dude. Totally embarrassed. Kicked my ass. Embarrassed me, dude. Like, and I'm like, and then round 2 comes, beats me up again. Round 3 comes, beats me up again. Round 4 comes, beats me up again. I go home thinking, you know what? I sometimes don't even relate with the people on my team that are brand new on sales. I'm like, figure it out. Or like the little conversations that they ask me 45 times in the day, like basically kind of like the simple things, how to shake a hand. Like, oh, what do I do to follow up with this guy? I'm like, don't you know? And you can see in my face sometimes that I'm getting annoyed. So I have to like tell my face, like, come on, man. They're just new at something. They just need confidence from you. They need patience from you. I'm not a patient person. Step 1 in leadership is you got to have patience, right? Yeah. And so it's like, you know, some of these little things that I'm always constantly searching for out there, that one taught me a lot. The baseball thing taught me a lot. It was like, man, you know, these kids, these guys that are in my company, whether they're older than me, I've got a lot of people that are older than me. They're still somebody's son. They're still somebody's dad. They're still somebody's mom that's working for me. You know, how do I really take care of them? How do we really set them up for some success here outside of the office, most importantly? Inside of the office, I don't really care about that. Like, I know one thing about building high performance teams. If I can set their personal lives up to be on fire, then their business lives are easy. It's simple. It's simple.
100%. How you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And people say it, but they don't really get it. Like we're talking about like how your clothes look when you get ready in the morning. We're talking about what's going on in your wife. I just was talking to one of my guys. I'm like, when was the last time you were on a date? Because you're looking a little tired. And he was like, well, we had a baby 5 months ago. We haven't been on a date since. And I'm like, dude, okay. I call my wife. I put him in a group chat. I said, babe, help me get him a date scheduled. His little newborn baby doesn't have new baby pictures because he's just been grinding. He's new here. We got him newborn pictures. We got him a date coming up. We're going to watch the kids. He's going to go out here and do that stuff. Watch how his heart feels when he comes back, right? But he doesn't know that that's a train getting ready to just go off the track. He doesn't know that like that's a train getting ready to go off. He has a good heart, man. He wants to work. He's grinding every day. But bro, you had a baby 5 months ago. Your wife's asked you about baby pictures. You haven't really done them. And then on top of that, she needs to feel like you love her. She just had a baby. Like, you know, and most men don't even know this. I didn't know this. Yeah. So like, as leaders, we should be far enough along where we can be like, that's a problem. You're getting ready to cruise off the track. And that's where loyalty is created. It's not created when we're all cashing checks and making a lot of money. It's created on the hard days. It's created on when somebody is having that shame in their eyes because they're doing things behind the scenes that we know that they shouldn't be doing and they're scared to admit them.
Amen.
That's when it's created, man.
Hey man, you got me fired up again. I love it. What you guys are doing is absolutely phenomenal, and I just hope that people are watching this. Hopefully, some of this takes some root or take seeds.
Well, dude, I like what you're doing because it's like you're one of the dealers that are the few and far between that like just want to do something bigger than just being a dealer. Like we're not in the car business, we're in the people business. And if I could get even most dealers to feel like, hey, man. There's more out there, you don't need to go do a different business, but like there's more out there to teach these people and to shepherd myself and the blessings. I mean, we would really change so many more families. So thank you for just being solid and always really having a good heart. And, you know, like, and I know you've probably been, I mean, in leadership, you get burned and you get every chance to be a bitter, angry dude. And you're just always a very happy, I'm trying to do something for the people vibe, and we just need more of that. So thanks for putting this podcast together and doing this type of stuff because it is the game changer, man. And sometimes we don't even think it's like that big, but it's like if it reaches 1 or 2 people and it changes them, then we've done a good job.
Yeah, so I'm gonna ask you to part with something before we get off here. But so I had James Krause on here. He's a buddy of mine here in Kansas City. Speaking of jiu-jitsu, he's a UFC veteran, right? And he does real estate investments. But he's a great leader, and I've had him on here. And one of the things that he said, and I'm going to ask you to leave a statement for a legacy statement or something, because there's going to be people for like a couple hundred years maybe that are going to see this video. So I want you to leave some wisdom for people for hundreds of years from now. So I asked James, and he said, man, my advice to people is to do, like, go in and commit to people, commit to helping someone and being someone for some, like, put your heart on the line and do something so I'm going to phrase it wrong, but he basically said, get your heart broke. Like, put yourself so far invested in somebody that you get your heart broken. And that's when you know that you're all in, right? And because I do it all the time, right? I invest so much of my heart and soul into like marriages and people that call me. And, I got a friend of mine right now, and they're up against the ropes in their marriage. And I'm just like freaking all in on their marriage. And man, if the marriage doesn't work out, I'm not going to feel like a failure, but it's going to break my heart. You know what I mean? I'm so into helping them get this right that if it doesn't work, my heart's going to be broken. And that's what you guys are doing, man. You're pouring so much of yourselves, and you're not leaving anything out on the field. You know what I mean? You're giving it all. You're giving it all, and I appreciate that. And, you got a spot in heaven, man. I guarantee you.
I hope so.
Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna ask you to part with before we get off here. I know you got to pick up your son. So, people for hundreds of years watch this video, and 50 years, 20 years, 100 years, whatever. What kind of legacy wisdom does Ian Macklin want to leave for generations to come?
Well, I'd say that business, I think everybody in business thinks that success is what they're after. And I'd say it's not what we're after. Leadership is what we're after. And the greatest success isn't money. The greatest success is leadership. And it's who you leave an impact on is what leadership is. But nobody's going to follow you if you're not worth following. Yeah. Influence is one of the greatest things that you can have, but it also comes with a great responsibility of actually truly leading people correctly. And in order to do that, you have to lead yourself. And everybody wants to tell other people what to do, but they don't want to do it themselves. And I personally just don't want to be a person that's saying things and not living by them. So I would say that all of this is my mission statement of just being the real deal. Like, whatever you're going to do, live by it. Try your hardest. You're never going to be perfect. You're going to struggle some days. Some days it's going to feel like you're doing it all wrong. But if you're always coming back to that core value of being a great leader and exemplifying that in your energy and your frequency and your body and your mentality and your faith and your family, and leading with Jesus and not leading with just money and not leading with just what you can get, but more than what you can give, if you can lead with that, you're ultimately more successful than you could ever imagine. And even if you didn't have anything, but you had that, you would have everything. And so I would say that that's the number one thing that we have to be after, is just being good humans, being good people, being kind, being courteous, being loving. And that doesn't mean that we need to be weak. That doesn't mean that we need to be meek. It means to be, sometimes we're going to have to be loud. We're going to have to be bold. We're going to have to challenge people. We're going to have to challenge the industry. We're going to have to challenge the Goliath. We're going to have to go to war for what we believe. And you're going to have to go to war for what you believe. I'm going to be a guy that's always known to go to war for what I believe. And what I believe is what I say and what I stand for. And I want my kids one day not to just look at, not to just come to me and ask me how I lived and ask me for life advice. I want them to look at my life and let that be the advice. And so that's what I'm after, is just leaving like a legacy within my family, within my company, and within around the world. Culture from companies, they take it home every day. Every day, they bring a piece of your culture home. What are you giving them to bring home? Are you giving them something that they really can bring home, that they're proud of, that they wear as a badge of honor? And if you are, you're the greatest successful leader in the history of time. Like, you are doing it right. And so that's what I'd say. Amen,
man. Amen. I'll tell you, our company holiday parties at the end of the year, it's 6 years I've been with this company, and sure as heck, some spouse will come up to me and like, hey, I just want to say thank you. Ever since, so-and-so started working with you, they've been just so much better at home, so much more present.
I love that, dude.
Bro, that is like, that's it, right? That's the pinnacle.
I love that, man. I love that. That is great.
So, man, well, I love you, bro. Man, what you guys are doing is great. And Ian's been trying to kick my ass to get down there forever. I need to just bite the bullet and make it happen. I got to plow a hole in my schedule and just do it. So I'm going to do that. I'll get with you offline here. We'll figure out some time coming up here over the summer or something. And, I'll get a long weekend down there or whatever. I got to get down there to you guys and hang out.
We would love it, man. We would love it. We'll have a lot of fun and we'll grow a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, my dude. Well, I'll hit the ejection handle here and let you get to your family. I appreciate you making the time for me, dude.
Absolutely, man. And if anybody needs anything or has any questions, my phone number is 720-227-6863. That's my real cell phone number.
I'll put that in the comments, and I'll
Yeah,
link up
put my
some
real
stuff.
cell.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
I love
Thanks,
it.
buddy.